G'day guys, welcome on and Happy New Year. We've just started into 2025, and to kick off with one little thing I've wanted to do for a while. I've brought the RV, the camper van, up to the North Island of New Zealand. Well, it's in the North Island, but further north. So all the way past Auckland to a place called Lang's Beach. That's where I'm at right now. And to celebrate that and to make that into something special, we're gonna paint the trail along Lang's Beach. I love this place. Last time I was here, I saw orcas out in the water swimming. I've seen the most amazing people walking down this track. They have rocks that are kind of like stacked pancakes, similar to what we have down further south in Hokitika. But anyway, it's here in Lang's. So I thought this would be quite a cool place to paint, because not only is it a place in New Zealand that I love and I can be here to paint, but it can also be something that means something to anyone when they see this trail. Because at the start of 2025, I think we do make resolutions and we do go on journeys, and to have a picture that is of a trail, that is of a journey, that is of an idea of going a place, wherever that place is for you, that's what this picture can represent. Still stuck on 2024. All right, well, join us in here. We're in 2025. Still stuck on 2024. All right, well, join us in here. We're in 2025. And right, the first colour we're going to kick off with is going to be our black. Black all over the show. Deary me. And it's a hot day out today. Man, it's smoking hot. That's going to be something we just have to deal with. Whew! Jeepers creepers. Talk about a sudden gust of wind. The good news about that though is my shirt is already completely covered in paint.
It's a brand new cappuccino.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Blowing.
Nah, that's all right, we can fix that.
You're welcome. Blowing.
Nah, that's all right, we can fix that. Yeah. The lighting conditions we've got right now remain constant and stable. Love that. Unfortunately, this early in the piece, we have taken casualties. So, that's all right. If it was oil paints, you'd want to get that off your skin, but it's not, so we'll be totally fine. We'll just deal with the cards we've been given. Now, a lot of the time, conventional wisdom would say, start with the background, the deep sky, the sea, and the land, add in the big features, and then once you're finished, add the branches over the top. I never do that. I like adding the shadows in first, wherever they land. It creates a better relationship between the sky and the sea. Otherwise, your mountains kind of feel superimposed onto the subject, not actually intertwined into it. I don't want you to see this obvious cut line between what's background and foreground. I find that so cheesy when it comes to art. I don't think it's at all necessary. There we go. Ho ho! You see that? Now it's actually more stable because it's down in a groove, so that's quite nice. Happy 2025, guys. It is 2025 here. So it's the quarter century crossover point in New Zealand. This is day 1, January 1st. My birthday is in, pardon me, 12 days, 11 days, January 12th. And for you Americans out there, I guess it's New Year's Day for you. And so it's New Year's Day for you. Happy New Year's. I hope you found yourself safely to wherever you're going to spend the New Year's. And I hope you're spending it safely too. Don't do anything too crazy. People get way too excited on New Year's. Not that getting excited isn't a bad thing, but you just don't want to put anyone's safety in jeopardy. You want to make sure you're safe. You want to make sure people around you are safe. Call me old, call me boring, but I reckon when everyone's safe, that's when you have the most fun. There we go. There's these lovely dark Purikawas in the backdrop. I'll capture those first. And dabble it out through here. There we go. This little headland piece, that's a nice bit. Pushing out there to the left. So we're going to work on that. But this black, it's so overpowering. So it's nice to lay it down early to capture all those details. And then later on in the piece, we can spread our wings, charge up into some other areas, see how we go. But I like this. I think the first dark part that stuck out to me in the at Lang's Beach, and you can probably see it behind me, but also in the image, is the Purikawas contrasting against the blue sky. And they really stick out. They're not black as such, but they have that immense contrast to the light behind them. They may as well be. Really stick out. They're not black as such, but they have that immense contrast to the light behind them. They may as well be. Very, very red, the crimson red that'll come out of them from their flowers. Purikawas are these lovely fluffy red, the crimson red that'll come out of them from their flowers. Purikawas are these lovely fluffy. Hold on a second, team. I see that connection's bad. Let me. I see that connection's bad. Let me. There we go, team. Just had to fix the Starlink. I thought I had it aligned, but it turned out it was and so that's the world we live in. So we're painting Lang's Beach. I hope that Wi-Fi's, I got a green symbol there now, that's a great sign. I was worried before. Now, I have this lovely frothy cappuccino. The question is, where can I put it without kicking it over? Happy New Year's, Jay Smith. Happy New Year's to everyone in here, Wild Crew, all you folks. Happy New Year. If it's the 31st where you are and you're about to cross over, fantastic. If you haven't got a New Year's resolution, even better. I've actually set 2 New Year's resolutions. They're very wholesome. One of them is to gossip less with Shelby. We love some tea. And the idea is to actually be less about the tea. But then the other piece of New Year's resolution is, I feel there's lots of stories out there for lots of these pictures that have never been told. So I guess I'm interested in telling those stories. And in this case here, the ones I'd talk about, Clint Eastwood. There's Solo Gala. There's I guess Mahalo's story's there, but these stories need to be told, guys. And so talk less tea about other people and more tea about art. That's the plan. And spill less tea. Oh yes, I like that. Spill less tea. That's that works on all the levels. Who made that clever comment? Michael, you champion. You should keep your hair like this. Well, I'll tell you what, perhaps that's possible if I just permanently had the wind blowing at this kind of strength. But unfortunately, the reality of the situation, this is just because the wind's hammering out. It's funny actually, because when I first started, I was up on a pinnacle further up, but I didn't like it as much as coming down closer to the beach. And the irony of that is now the wind would be actually stronger up there. So I'm pretty glad we're down here. We're much safer, which is a nice thing. It's a very nice thing. We're much safer, which is a nice thing. It's a very nice thing. And then we might build into a bit of green, maybe a bit of blue and yellow, and a little bit of red before we finish. So 4 colours is my guess. 4 colours. Unless it gets too hot and I have to run inside. I didn't bring my water bottle with me, so that's a challenge we're facing. You know, the funny thing was, I figured I'd be in a bit of shade, so I thought, you won't need a hat. But now the wind is encouraging me to think, maybe I did need a hat. Now, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but there's some lovely, lovely tuis chiming around. And maybe, just maybe if we get lucky, these strands of flax that are coming up, they might come and land in the back of a shot. So tuis are a native bird in New Zealand. They're black and they have a little white tuft here, which is funny because I've got a little black tuft here. So kind of like me, just the reverse colours. And what their little tuft isn't actually a speaker, obviously, it's just a regular thing. There we go. There we go. Slash that through there. I left a lot of texture on this board, and I'm not fully sure if I love it yet or not, but we'll navigate it. Hi mate, from California. Happy New Year all the way to California. The one place in the world. Hi mate, from California. Happy New Year all the way to California. The one place in the world. A lovely, lovely place. And while I do like porcelain, I tag backwards and forwards. Certainly if it's a windy day, you definitely want porcelain. So this could be arguably seen as a mistake. But, we're not going to see it as that. We're going to see it as an opportunity to, in this case, use a floppy plate. Hello, who's that there? DW? Steve? Welcome on in, Steve. I'm not sure if you caught the second painting session we had on, I'm just coining at this, it doesn't mean it's its name, but I think Little Fishing Man. Little Fishing Man. I like it because saying little fishing boy, or it's, I don't know, I feel like catching your first fish, and first 6 in this case, is part of crossing the bridge of adolescence. And Little Fishing Man kind of nods to the fact that it's a boy, but also nods to the fact that you're on the progression to becoming an adult in whatever form that takes. You're totally fine. I actually wasn't live yesterday. It was New Year's here, and I was spending all the time with little Cooper and Shelby. But now it's the 1st, so 11 days till my birthday, the 1st of January here in New Zealand, and bada bing bum boom, it should be New Year's Day for you guys. Oh. What's let me just trace this through here. There we go. Perfect. dabble that up through there. There's these massive, massive Pohutukawa trees that we just need to keep on adding on. There we go. Beautiful. Big, thick globs of black paint. And all we need is the rhythm goodbye. Lost in the music, your heart will be mine. All I need is the rhythm goodbye. Dun 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 dun. Doo 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 doo. Ba dee 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 doo. Bam 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 do 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 do. Lost in the music, your heart will be mine. It's a bold song. He actually had time to write the song, release it. He saw that lyric, your heart will be mine. You think by the end of that song it would be your heart is mine. He just didn't reach that stage. It's a tragedy. Here we go. And all I need is the rhythm goodbye. Lost in the music, your heart will be mine. We're running out of black team, but we've had our fun anyway. We're about ready to leap across into our greens and blues. Maybe I've got one tucked down here that's just waiting for me. Ultramarine blue, don't mind if I do. Love the naming you gave the painting, gorgeous painting. Oh, fantastic, Steve. Let's continue to see how it progresses, of course. Excuse my hair, this is a whole thing. It's that wind, I swear it's that wind. There we go. And I've got a funny story for you actually, guys. A really funny story. Sorry, let's see how the painting progresses, and then if it goes in the right direction, we will, or it continues the way it is, we'll continue with the name. But if it deviates, maybe a new name is more appropriate. We'll see what happens. I was going to say that, guys, you know how I wear these glasses, and we talked a bit about changing pigments. These are peach colored glasses and the impact that can have on what you see. I always wondered if wearing them, I mean, sorry, no, I didn't wonder. I always preferred to wear them. I'd go looking for them, and I'd say to Shelby, where are these glasses? I'm looking for them, I'm looking for them. And funny story, what turned out being the case is I've got a syndrome, guys, and it's called visual snow. And so in my field of vision, everywhere I look, everything I see has a slight electrical static over everything. Now you could see this as a disaster on one hand. But is it? You've got the likes of Monet, and you've got the likes of Beethoven. One suffering from cataracts, the other one suffering from death. Can't hear, can't see. Now, on one hand, you could say, the visual static everywhere, it drives me wild. But actually, on the other hand, it's not like that. Everything glitters for me. And it's funny, I developed it about 6 years ago now. And when I started getting it, it came on all at once, and I felt like I'd never see colour or gradients again. But funnily enough, it completely changed the way I made art. And everything I've made that's ever been shown online, that anyone ever cared about, has been made since I've had visual snow. It's one of those things I never really talk about, but it was only when I was talking to a group online, they were saying that pigmented glasses actually help change the effects and increase the saturation that you see. See, part of my tendency towards massive amounts of saturation has always been because I actually don't see as much colour through my eyes, and so I add more of my imagination into the piece. And the pigmented glasses actually have a fun little tweak on that. It relaxes it for a moment. It makes painting the best therapy I can have. So that's all quite fun. Anyway. I always thought I just liked them because they change the colour of what I'm looking at. Turns out they're doing a whole lot more than just changing the colour. They're relaxing the rods and cones in my eyes and really allowing me to lose myself in a painting. I think that's pretty special. There we go. Flash a bit more of this through the sky. In the sky for love, love, I see you. Right, more paint. Yeah, new thing. Okay, let's track down. What is it going to be? Let's get a bit of this. Let's go lighter and lighter and lighter. So New Year's has arrived in the Samoa Islands or not yet? Great question. I don't actually know. It's arrived here in New Zealand. We've ticked over. 1st of January is upon us. This is the 1st of January stream that we're doing right now. How fun's that? Pretty fun. Yeah, there we go. There's a bit of that wild we need to build into this piece. We've been too tame, guys, too tame. And especially with a thicker texture it's starting on, it actually requires us to attack it a little bit more and really, there we go. Really build up a bit of intensity in it. Lovely. There we go. The painting's a funny thing. It reminds me of there's a book. It's about a hen baking a cake. Bear with me, I know that sounds crazy. It's a hen that's baking a cake. And it needs help with sorting out some things. Getting the flour ready, getting the this, getting the that, all the ingredients, assembling them. And there's a fox, and there's a bear, and there's a this. I can't remember exactly what the animals are. No one wants to help the hen. But anyway, the hen's making this thing, and no one else can see what it is. And it only comes down to the final moments where the cake actually arrives, and everyone understands, oh, and now everyone's excited. But kind of like buying shares, you need to be there for the ground level. And I think the moral of the story is Mother Hen still shared the cake, but I always remember that story when I think about paintings, because these paintings are kind of like concrete foundations of structures or buildings. They don't look like the building to start with. They look messy, they look ridiculous, they look crazy. But if you maybe, just maybe, you'll see the cake or the building. That's part of the fun. G'day, Matt. Welcome on in. It has been a hot minute since we've last spoken, Matt. I hope you're keeping healthy, mate. Absolute pleasure to see you in here. It's the last part of the world that celebrates the new year, I read yesterday. Ooh. Well, that's quite exciting. I didn't know that. There we are. Whitey toity. Righty-toity. Mix this up. So we're going to turn that turquoise into a bit of green. We're jumping all over the show at the moment, guys, and I'm actually here for it. Mix this up. So we're going to turn that turquoise into a bit of green. We're jumping all over the show at the moment, guys, and I'm actually here for it. And because the surface right now has so much tooth to it, one of the essential things we need to do is kill back that tooth and actually kill back the tooth by adding a whole bunch of paint. And just like the little fisherman, Pennsylvania, the Keystone State, the valley I call home, the Hong Kong boats, this is the same paint, the same kind of paint. It's very unique. It's far more saturated, and I love that. I'm always here for that additional saturation. I don't mind if it's thick or not, but I need that saturation. Don't give me paint that's got texture without power of color. You need that power of color. Arguably, it's the most essential thing. Here we go. Beautiful. I need a bit of white in here, guys. Good morning. Where are you hiding? Oh, maybe we'll just go for a bit of peach. Yeah, that'll be fun. There we go. Bit of peach. It's actually the exact color we need to mark that trail. So let's get that down through there. We'll just let that dabble all over the show, just like that. I see you in the skies, in the sky for love. You know, one thing I was thinking about, and I'd love to hear your opinion on it. I'd love to. You know, we usually do art of pictures, guys. We're always doing pictures of art. How would you feel if we did some typography? So when we made the picture, we actually had text on it. It's a very different form of art. It feels taboo almost because we're always doing a picture or an environment. Who likes pictures that actually say things? In some ways, they can evoke a lot of emotion. We always use words like live, laugh, love. There's other words that are powerful. There's things like, a big, colourful, abstract. There's other words that are powerful. There's things like, a big, colourful, abstract. I feel like that really came out in the valley I call home. That was one of the things that really struck me about Pennsylvania, was the fact that it felt like it was having summer, autumn, winter and spring all at once. And it felt like, what else did it feel like? It felt like it was just, there was a little bit of everything. And I love that. It didn't feel like there was a single season or a single moment happening, or every tree, or any tree actually, had a doppelganger. Everything just felt really unique, and I feel like in the brush strokes we really expressed that. It was up close, it was so turbulent, so different, so ever-changing. But from the distance, those gradients seemed to smooth together a little bit. Massive fan of that one. Massive fan. Just stand back a little. Massive fan of that one. Massive fan. Just stand back a little. Perfecto. We need that blue. You just know that blue is going to make an appearance all through here. But not yet, but it will. It will absolutely make that appearance. When is the question? When? Don't know how. Don't know when. What's that song? Is that from the Cats musical? No, it's not. What's that from? We forget these things. Is it the new year? Did I get a memory wipe as we enter the new year? Maybe. Maybe. All right. He's in 2025. He is. He is indeed. If he is me, then he is indeed in 2025. Here we go. This is the color I want. It's primary blue. So usually we're always dabbling in a different direction, whether it be on ultramarine blue, cerulean. We go towards turquoise, phthalo blue. We never really sit on the primary blue, but in this case here, especially around the sea and the sky, for one of the first times in the last 2 or 3 years, primary blue is actually a massive player. This is exactly what we want in the sky. This is exactly what we want in the sky. Pretty fun time. Amina, 309. And we're just adding in the first wild coat of paint to this picture. We always talk about that, guys. Start wild. And you're gonna see with this primary blue, I want it underneath so it can come through, but never ever have primary blue as your, it's just such a red flag for adding to a sky or a sea. You feel like it is the color that is there, but is it? Is it actually the only color that's there? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it's part of the picture. There we go. I always avoid skin tone pigment when painting skin. Blue when painting sea. Blue when painting sky, and green when doing forests, where I can help it. But in this case here, it's undeniable that blue is having a huge effect on this work. So we're gonna play into that. We're gonna absolutely play into that. Start wild, make a mess. Do. Start wild, wild. There we go, gorgeous. Gorgeous. And I always like it when you do these massive layered works and you do find little pockets that still go through to the gesso. It's like, I like it. And sometimes I like to play peekaboo with the actual canvases when I look at them and try and figure out on some works like Africa, Mahalo, Zambezi River, these works that are so heavily layered and gorgeous. Can you find little pockets that actually are raw canvas or wood? Because there's a real treat to that. There's a seeing through to the basic undercoat. Kind of like finding a fossil, you know, and seeing back however many layers. It's really special. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm weird. I know I'm weird, that's a fact. But I like that. And that's, I think my mother actually taught me that of all things, because she always liked it when I left the sides of the canvas raw, and I like to paint round it or frame hard up against it and things. And she was the one who actually started telling me, no, leave that raw, because there's this evidence of how the painting came into existence by looking at the sides. There's this really prettiness, there's this beauty in seeing the raw wood turning into the priming gesso, which is the chalk with acrylic polymers, which actually allows the surface to, the substrate to be protected from the paint, stops it from rotting, stops it from aging, keeps the paint crisp, keeps the saturation higher. So you've got this acrylic polymer blended with chalk. The chalk's in there, so it's actually more absorbent. It creates a better grounding surface for the paint to sit on. If you imagine a giant layer of sponge, that's what the chalk makes on the surface, that the pigment sucks into without going deeper. You don't want it to go into the wood. It'll bleed it out and make the paint become tacky. The pigment might be there, but its vehicle will dry through it and suck out. It just won't work out well. You need that. But I love being able to see that. I love being able to see the wood go into that acrylic primer, going into the chalk within that layer, and then the colours, seeing how the colours overlap and how they've been splashed on one after the next until you get to the end result, wherever that might be. But the evidence of that, the fossils that make that, the kind of layers in the rock, sedimentary rock, building up, that's on the side of the canvas. And that's something that now, I really value that, and I don't want to lose that. That's where I'm sitting on that at the moment. That's my current theory. And sometimes I paint right around the edges with big brush strokes to go the whole way around like this one. Just like that. And a part of me loves that. But I think if the surface is going to be perfect, the sides can be just a little bit raw. I'm a big fan of that. Happy New Year. Who's that there? Ivy. Happy New Year. Katori Him. Happy New Year. And Stargate. Happy New Year. Please excuse my hair. It's battling a little bit, but there's a bit of wind around, so we're navigating that. Anyway, we're going to jump across from these blues and head into some white shortly, but not just yet. See how we go. Bit more. This plate's almost done its final dash as well, so we might actually leap across yet. We will see. This plate's almost done its final dash as well, so we might actually leap across yet. We will see. Skies, oh, in the skies for love loves. I see you. I think I actually do have some white down here. No. You know what? That's arguably better. Neutral grey? No. Get the white, Sebastian. My temptations. Oh. New year, new me. This white hasn't been opened. Well, don't mind if I do. Oh dear. Hold on. Come on up. There's one thing about these Liquitex things. They put these little lids on. You really have to tug them to get these little lids out. But anyway, we got it, but not without a little bit of a fight. There we go. Lid back on. It's an essential part of it. I'm going to squirt this right into the blues. You can do it. Don't give up to the first paint tube that gives you grief in 2025, guys. You'll and if you do, it's can only 25, guys. You'll and if you do, it can only go up from here. Shortly. Let's go and tell you that we're using a blend. It's a blend of acrylic polymers, which is essentially like a plastic, a polycarbonate. Like when you get, glassware that doesn't smash. It's made of that polycarbonate stuff. And then you've got perspex and things like this. This is the sisters and brothers and cousins of acrylic polymers that we use in paint. We're forming a hard, resistant, long-lasting layer. But inside that, and the reason why it's a little bit different and not see-through, is we're combining in a bunch of very strong, thick pigments. Not like regular pigments you'd find in acrylic paints, and not like pigments you'll find in oil paints. They're very similar, they're the exact same as the pigments that you'll find in gouache paints. Now gouache You won't often hear about gouache. It's a rare type of paint. But one quality of gouache that we're carrying into this style here is the size of the pigments. If you imagine regular pigments being the size of a golf ball, these ones are the size of a basketball. What happens when you increase the size of the pigments, so you increase the saturation of color within the actual paint that makes the painting? What happens? Okay, well, the first thing that happens with these larger pigment particles is they don't actually reflect back light, they absorb it. Now that it's absorbing light, it doesn't get that sheen on top. It becomes very, very flat, but in that flatness, you get so much more color, and that's worth fighting for. Now, you can always bring back the shine to it, but as a starting point, as a let's go from here, get the highest saturation you can possibly get. Don't sacrifice on that, because the beauty in a painting, a computer screen with its lights can only get so bright. A TV screen can only get so much color. But if you get the full saturation of pigment onto a canvas, the in-person experience with one of these paintings can be more than any screen could give you. Now, you don't need that, but if you could have that, why not have that? Make sure you build that into the painting. So, anyway, we're basically on a chase. We're on a hunt, we're on a escapade, a pilgrimage, whatever, to find the most pigmented, saturated colors we can get to create paintings out of, and we want them to last long term. So using the pigment particles being larger in gouache and combining them with a method of acrylic polymers that actually lock it into the surface, much better than gouache. See, typical gouache paint uses gum arabic, which is still a lovely thing, but its light fastness over time, unless looked after with the correct gouache paint, uses gum arabic, which is still a lovely thing, but its light fastness over time, unless looked after with the correct glasses and the correct, it won't really survive well. So that's why a lot of old masters overlooked gouache. But if you combine it the way we can now in 2024 with the acrylic polymers, well, now you get the best of both worlds. And that shouldn't usually be the case, but technology is a wonderful thing. And in this case here, you do get to double dip. You can obviously combine in your gloss gels and things to make this paint shiny as you paint with it, or you can put on a shiny coat at the end, which I'm not always opposed to. One thing I like to do, if I want to get a combination of textures in the picture, I'll spray it with a matte varnish, and that'll protect the paint that's currently on the surface, and then I'll add on highlights, kind of like cold foiling, where certain areas shine while others don't. Card games do it all the time, and sometimes certificates do it. Do that with the areas you really want to make pop, and you can have some real fun doing that. It does mean you double paint the work, but for the effect of it changing in different lighting conditions, it's kind of worth every penny. Depends what you're into. Depends how much time as an artist you have. But I think you've got to always ask the question, what makes this artwork valuable in person versus the online experience? Because we can always see a picture from straight on, and it's a beautiful thing, don't get me wrong. But in person, does it change in different lighting conditions? Is there a way to meet the work at different times of the day that makes it feel like a completely different project? And if it is the case, if you can make it feel like a different project in different lighting conditions at different times of the day, at different seasons even, well, now we've got something pretty special. Now we've got something that actually we can do something with. Because if it's going to go into your home, it wants to be the picture that you expected, but you want to be able to meet it and reimagine it in many, many different ways over the day and over the year. Otherwise, it's best in a gallery to see it once. That's what I think. And who's that there? User, welcome on in. Happy New Year to everyone. David, Happy New Year. And to your lovely family as well. Thanks, David. Happy New Year right on back to you. Appreciate the love that you're sending all the way here to New Zealand. We're down here at the moment at Lang's Beach, which is a place in Auckland. Well, not in Auckland, sorry, north of Auckland, in the North Island of New Zealand, in the Southern Hemisphere, the southeast of Australia. There we go. And we're off to a pretty fun start. Guys, this work's a mess, and that's exactly what we want. Layer 1 has to be a mess. Otherwise, layer 2 would have nothing to fix. Oh my God, we need to write that down. That's a good line. Layer 1 has to be a mess, otherwise layer 2 would have nothing to fix. Oh, someone beat me to the punch and posted it on Twitter before I get around to it. Layer 1 has to be a mess, or layer 2 would have nothing to fix. I'm going to write that on the side before I forget. 1 second. Layer 1 has to be a mess. You say or else, or else. Or else sounds foreboding. Layer 1 has to be a mess. I'll just say or. Or layer 2 would. I'm gonna jump over this here. Have nothing. Bear with me. Here on the side here. To fix. Perfect. After this is, funniest thing about that too is, and little Easter eggs like that are really fun, because when the painting actually goes into someone's possession, it has a frame on it, the actual ability to see the size of the frame is kind of hard. And it's kind of like stripping back the wallpaper when you change the frame over years later, or if you know it's there and can see round to it. There's a lovely little line just waiting for you. Plagiarism. Getting in trouble for something you didn't do. Is that, that's a fair definition. Happy 2025 from Cyprus. Can someone help me out here? Where's Cyprus? Perhaps the person from Cyprus. If we've got a globe and we're about to throw a pin at it, where's our best bet to land that pin somewhere meaningful close to Cyprus? And I'm sorry that I'm so geographically illiterate that I don't know. Oh, Greece, of course it is. Cyprus, yeah. Well done, Seb. My last two brain cells of 2025 bumping together trying to figure out where Cyprus is. Come on, obviously it's Greece. Happy New Year's. Oh, Palm Springs. Who do we have there? Julio. Welcome on in. Yeah, so the frames I've got a lovely guy who builds the frames for me, but don't just get any frame. It could just be any random wood from anywhere in the world that's just been slapped together for the sake of having a frame. The frames and the substrate that we're working with is all New Zealand timber. So I get that New Zealand timber raw, and then I'll actually prepare it. And so, depending on the project, this is the way I like to do it. If you're gonna prepare the timber, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. You can rub the varnish on, you can oil it, you can paint it, you can leave it raw, and so it gradually goes gray. It's kind of cool. Depending on what you're after, depending on what you're into. There's no wrong answers. But I like the fact that it's all New Zealand timber. It feels better for me in that I feel like you're buying from a New Zealand artist. You'd expect a New Zealand product, not something that was just assembled from international ingredients. I feel like it feels better that the product's New Zealand, as much as it can be. We don't have the same quality of paints, guys. We're working with a very different kind of paint. So we can't actually duplicate paint here in New Zealand. So the paint's international because the pigments are from such a varied amount of places. You can get ultramarine blue from mines in Afghanistan. You can get synthetic ultramarine blue France figured out how to do that in the early 19th century. You can get different pigments from all sorts of places. And that's totally fine, totally fine. But where I can, where I do have control, where I do have power, I'd love to exercise it. And I've got a small opportunity to do that with, bada bing bunk bung, the wood, the substrate, the framing. That's where I do have control. I feel like it's a fun tale as well. New Zealand timber. New Zealand painting, New Zealand artist on New Zealand timber. Or you hate that. If you don't like that, that's okay. You can just pretend you didn't hear it. That's also fine. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna get a bit of green in here. That's our yellows, our blues, our blacks. Yeah, let's get a bit of green. And then we'll see. We might call it a day, or we might go further. It's kraftig. Happy New Year, guys. Kai. Welcome on in, Kai. Beam my dream. Happy New Year. It is a pleasure. To be here in New Zealand, pushing through into the new year. What an absolute delight. And here's our green, emerald green. What a lovely, lovely color. This is gonna be our finishing off color, guys. So at this point in time, wrap up your drinks. It's closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. It's closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. I know whose live stream I wanna be on. Yeah, yum. Is that in my mouth there? And let's pull this one off here. This is good shit. Oh, excuse my language. Naughty Sebastian. You didn't hear that. I didn't say that word. I'm a father. I can't be doing things like that. Okay. These lids cause me so much trouble. There we go. All right. Ooh. Go in there. Right. The question is now, where are we putting the green? The wind is causing all kinds of grief, Jay, but we're making it work. We're navigating the challenges. Now, let's get this green pumping through here. There we go. This is what I'm after. I'm gonna sneak down in here. Yeah, deal me up. I know who I want to take me home. You know that song Closing Time by Matchbox 20? It's a funny one. It's not actually about a bar that's closing. Sounds like it is. I guess it can be whatever you want it to be about. But it's about the band actually reaching a milestone where things may not remain the same at all, because one of them is about to have a child. And that child marking the end of an era for them. Think about it this way, those lyrics where he says, this room won't be open until your brothers and your sisters come. That's got nothing to do with a bar. That's got everything to do with the arrival of new life. Scenic place? Yes, indeed it is. Who is that saying that? Charles Christopher, welcome on in. And who's that there? Happy New Year to my favorite artist, Alicio, you absolute champion. It's a pleasure to be here for you. We're painting the Trail of Lang's Beach. So we've come to Lang's Beach to make it, which is pretty fun. So here we go. Lovely. Big popping colours, one after the next. Start wild, build in detail. What's our quote, guys? I forgot what it was. Layer 1 has to be a mess. Layer 1 has to be a mess, or layer 2 would have nothing to fix. Yeah. I should say work on. Layer 2 would have nothing to work on, because fix makes it feel like it's broken, and a mess isn't broken. You never look at a pile of it, and a mess isn't broken. You never look at a pile of it, and it's a mess. So what's that? So what are you doing when you come back to a mess? You're cleaning it up? So you have to clean it up? You'll be thinking now. Maybe we change that word. Let me think about that and come back to you guys. There we go, let's get that through there. I'm just going to put a little bit of white into the green. I thought we'd pack up from there, but actually, I think we'll just do a little bit of this. It's going to give us a more pale, kind of minty green, and we'll play around with that for a little bit. Voila. Voila la la. 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 There we go. Absolutely stunning. Bang that through there. Yeah. Now we're talking. Take a look at my girlfriend. She's the only one I got. You know, that's kind of rough. Not much of a girlfriend. You gotta think, I wonder if he's still with that girl, if she heard that song and was like, I'm so proud of you for hitting the top 20 on the charts, but actually, you said some things which I don't fully agree with in a relationship. So, this next song's about, why'd you leave me? You can't go around singing songs like that. Just like when Jesse goes and talks to his best friend and says, who sang that song, Jesse's Girl, just repeats over and over again, he wish he had Jesse's girl. And you'd be like, mate, Jesse's your best mate. You might like his girl, but back off. Like, old Jesse's been coming to your concerts, supporting you, listening to your sounds on Shopify, buying your playlists on iTunes and things just to show you a bit of support. And you write a song about his girlfriend. How could you? How could you? Right. We're almost there. Yeehaw. Take a look at my girlfriend. Kind of objectifies her too. What's her name? Is her name Melanie? Take a look at Melanie. She's a person, and we're lucky to have her here. It's probably why I don't write songs. It's not as catchy, is it? There we go. Just little dollops of paint. La la la, la 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 la. Ba-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. Pew. And that will do for today, I think.